I think it's about time to look at my Marvel Legends Collection 2023 edition. It's morphin' time! Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to this year's Marvel Legends Collection Tour. I did one last year, and it was pretty popular, and of course I got requested to do it again this year. So we're going to take a look at my Marvel Legends display. Some of it's similar to what you saw last year, some of it's totally different. Of course, there's a new Galactus sitting here, so it's going to be pretty cool. Also, pardon the dust, because I did not go through the trouble of dusting everybody before the video, because that would have taken me like 6 to 8 hours. It's dusty. So I apologize if you see some dust. I just haven't done it yet. And in general, this might be the last year you see things like this, because I'm running out of space. I'm going to have to figure out something new very, very soon. But let's take a look at the Marvel Legends collection as it stands today. Also, if you haven't had a chance to check out this year's Marvel Legends Rundown video covering every figure from 2022, all 161 of them, check it out on the channel right now. Then you can come back and look at the collection. So, of course, we're starting up top. We've got, of course, our Guardians of the Galaxy, who really, really need updates. And I don't mean like the classic Star-Lord they're doing, but like, you know, some of the modern versions. This is just, wow, these are really old figures at this point. It's kind of crazy. The Guardians are prominent, but here we are. This is mostly not changed since last year, except we've added Quasar. I got him after it was Rundown season, so this is actually, I think, the first time I've shown him on the channel. But there's Quasar joining the lineup. You know, we got Nova guys, Inhumans, then we've got Thanos and the MCU Black Order that are standing in for the comic Black Order, because I don't think we're getting a comic Black Order. And then here's Gladiator, waiting for a friend. So here we have our villain shelf. I think the newest addition here is Madam Hydra, there in the middle. But basically it's mostly the same, I think, as we left it last year. I've had to move them around because of MODOK's size. Some of these get knocked off and fall off kind of easy. But we can see we got kind of, you know, there's the Hulk villains there. Got Hydra kind of running there. You got AIM and then Ultron as well. It's a nice assortment of villains. What also hasn't changed much is my Avengers shelf. This is still like my Dream Team Avengers. Everything is, I think, the same from last year, except we swapped out Black Panther, the previous one, to the new one. But you still got Tigra, Hercules, She-Hulk, Hulk, Hellcat, Thor. You know, we've got the Iron guys there. There's Iron Hearts behind War Machine, Iron Man, Infamous Iron Man. You know, Cap. Luckily, Wonder Man's getting upgraded this year to his new Red Jacket one. We have Vision, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, Hawkeye, Mockingbird, all the bug people. You know, there's Monica Rambeau, who's getting her MCU costume soon, which is great. So we got the Marvels, the Bugs, and then it leads into the Sentinels. And once again, I don't think this has changed much, but we've got kind of Omega Sentinels down here, up to the Amazon Days of Future Past Sentinel, of course, the Haslab one. I think last year I had it displayed with the Tri-Sentinel head. I swapped out for the Battle Damage head so that we have, like, Scott blasting there, and then Logan kind of... You know what? Maybe I should pose Logan a bit higher. But there's the Sentinel. So we got the X-Men shelf that is pretty much X-Men baddies. You know, over here we've got more Wolverine-like villains. Legion's there because he fits there. You know, Juggernaut and Blob are hanging out in the back. It's nice to finally add Toad to this group. Though, as you notice, I'm running out of space. I'm kind of hoping the new Blob will be a little bit smaller just so I can squeeze Avalanche in here. But in general, the shelves are starting to get really crowded. There's the new Dark Phoenix. That's a 2023 release, so first time you're seeing her on the channel. But yeah, you can see how like Morph and Dark Beast are like really, really close, and I'm still having to squeeze the New Mutants in here because Warlock is so tall. I don't think the Hellfire Club has changed too much here, but there they are. We got the guards in the back. Emma and Celine keep falling over, so everybody looks a little awkward because they just keep falling forward because of the heels on that body mold. Now in this middle shelf, we have 90s X teams. So down here, we got Alpha Flight. On this end, we've got X-Force here, which is nice to add Siren. But once again, or I should say, there is X-Force there. X-Force, it's getting crowded. It's getting real crowded. But there's my X-Force team. We, of course, have X-Factor, which we're still waiting on Feral to finish out X-Factor. Or is it... No, Feral's for X-Force. We need a Wolfsbane in the X-Factor uniform for X-Factor. And then we've got the Age of Apocalypse kind of Exiles guys here. I don't think I've touched this shelf in a while. This is the Age of Apocalypse shelf. If I really start running out of room, these are going to be some of the first to go. Not because I don't like them, because obviously I do. I mean, I got all of them there. But just because they are alternate universe versions. So here we got our main generation of X-Men here. So we got the 90s X-Men over here. These are kind of your animated series, Jim Lee inspired ones. See, we added the Lab Coat Beast. I just swapped them out for the previous Beast. Mostly the same. I do really like the way that those look together. We got Charles in the middle. And then here is our 80s X-Men, which has gotten a little chaotic, because we've added the new Dazzler. Obviously, a new Dazzler here. We got Longshot added. Here's Binary, the other Walgreens exclusive I couldn't get in time for last year's rundown. But Binary, even though it's Carol Danvers, she is technically a cosmic character. She was on the X-Men in that look for a bit, so that's why she's there. This shelf is essentially Deadpool and his wacky friends. Look at all them. They're neat and wacky. The best one, though, of course, is Jeff. It'll always be Jeff. So we have the modern shelf. So down here we got X-Factor in the gray uniforms. Here's some more modern stuff like the Stepford Cocos and Emma. Sort of the House of X, the Krakoa era X-Men there. And then some of the more modern ones, like you've got Maggot and Darwin we've added. Most of this is the same. Where is it? There's Kate Pride for the Dawn of X era. But you can see this is kind of the more modern X-Men, which we don't have like a full team of any modern X-Men, so they're kind of all compiled together. But that's just kind of where we're at. Now over here is just some larger figures that just don't have a spot anymore. Monster Venom lost his spot on the shelf. Armadillo, where the heck do I put him? He's really tall. And then, some of the Hulks that double up with characters that are on the shelf. This bottom shelf looks like a chaotic mess because it is. All of this is a mess. I have no excuse for this besides I ran out of space. So down here, all the way over here, we've got Asgardians, which you can see they're very deep, like Enchantress is back there and Hela. We've got, Gore has been added. We've got the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents next to them, which is why you've got, Quake and Maria Hill and Nick Fury and Venom. There's U.S. Agent, and they got some of the international heroes. So you got, Bucky and the Hatut Zeraze. Excalibur is here, even though it should be up on the X-Men shelf. Back there, we got like Ursa Major and Red Guardian for the Winter Guard. Then we just got a couple Wolverines and a Dazzler and a Sabretooth in front of what is essentially Spider-Man villains, because Hydro Man lost space to another guy we'll talk about in a moment. And then there's more Loon. And then there's Kingpin back there and his goons. Yeah, I need to do something about this, because this is just the run-over shelf. We got two guys on bikes, as you can see there. We got, Wolverine and Ghost Rider, looking really cool. There should be a giant flaming Dodge Charger here in a year, but that didn't happen, and I'm still sad. And then moving over here, we've got just, again, another shelf that needs some work. It just needs some space, because we got street-level heroes like Elektra and Daredevil and, like, Luke Cage. And then we got mystical guys like Sleepwalker or Moon Knight or Doctor Strange, but they're all just kind of shoved in together because they don't have much room. And so we'll end this little segment on, hey, symbiotes. It's a symbiote shelf. All the Life Foundation symbiotes fit in there. Carnage and Shriek can hang out with them. But yeah, I'm running out of space. Case in point for running out of space is how Sauron, Lady Deathstrike, and Bonebreaker are here. Lady Deathstrike is riding on Bonebreaker. Part of the Reavers, but I don't know where Pretty Boy's going to go because they're just kind of between shelves. And then Mojo is so large, he just kind of sits on the floor. So yeah, I just kind of have Mojo there and Spiral's with them because I need to keep Spiral with Mojo. But Mojo's so big that even if I had room on one of these shelves, he's too thick for these. So I'm going to have to figure out some new display option. Here we have a couple carded figures with the Ghost Rider and the new Marvel Unlimited exclusive Daredevil. It's similar to the Walgreens one, but it's not a retro card, which makes him really cool. Now, as mentioned in my comic book collection tour video, I like putting figures in front of comics. So there's the all new, all different 2099. And then up here we have the more modern Hercules, just because those are two figures I don't want to leave off the shelf, but are redundant to the rest of the shelf. So down here we have our Spider-Man villains, mostly Sinister Six dudes. We've swapped out Scorpion. Kraven is falling over because his ankles are weak. But this is kind of our Sinister Six main Spider-Man villains. Morbius is here because he ran out of space on the other shelf. Just that kind of thing. Now, my Spider-Man shelf is the most crowded. It's just overly crowded. I don't know what to do with this yet. I got to figure out some new display option. I mean, Spider, the mech suit, is back there crouched down, which is really impressive that she stands pretty good. But, you know, we got the new Renier Vow Spider-Man and, of course, the Spinneret and the Spider Armor. I have no room for Iron Spider on the shelf because of his legs. That's as compressed as his legs get. And so he takes up a lot more room than most of the other figures. So he just sits on my desk until I can figure out a new shelf for Spider-Man. Here's my ever-rotating Fantastic Four shelf. I got an amalgam kind of display going on. I keep all the Fantastic Fours around because I love this team. But at one point I had them all. I had all the versions, all 3 sets on here. But what I've done now is I've got this version, which is the Walgreens Mr. Fantastic, the Walgreens Thing, the Hasbro Pulse Invisible Woman, the Hasbro Pulse, the Retail Fire Johnny. So these are the 2 retros. These are 2 Walgreens. That's just what I'm going with at the moment. Eventually, when Franklin and Valeria come out, I'm going to switch these over to the modern ones so that the 6 of them match. And then also Bombastic Bagman's back there, just kind of cameoing. We got Kang and Doctor Doom, because they're the eternal bitter rivals of pettiness. But behind Doom, because I don't know where to put Mole Man. I don't like having Mole Man out front, because I don't want him overshadowing Doom, but he can't be seen in the back. Of course, we got Namor, and then, Stan Lee cameo. But it's just sort of awkward at the moment, because I'm kind of waiting to see, when Franklin and Valeria come out. Maybe I can make this a more even Fantastic Four display. Now, of course, the reason the Fantastic Four changed is not because now I have a section for Skrulls, as well as the one Kree Sentry, High Evolutionary, and Psycho Man is kind of like, cosmic baddies. Or is it because I added a section that is now Heralds of Galactus, Terrax, Morg, Fallen One, Firelord, Thor, and maybe it's because I added the Marvel Select the Watcher? No, of course, it's because I added, that guy. So yes, of course, we have Galactus with Nova, with Surfer. This is just my preferred way to display him. I love the stands. I love his size, because he is just gigantic. So I have his heralds at his feet so that he can just dominate this whole wall space. Because, he's got to do it. It's Galactus. Now, wrapping up the comic legends is this temp shelf. Half of it here, or these 2, they're Iron Man armors that I like that aren't my primary Iron Man. I have the 90s one as the primary. But then we got Silver Centurion, the metallic Scarlet Witch, the White Vision, and the Hawkeye with the metal arm. This is a temporarily in-the-works West Coast Avengers display. Until there's enough West Coast variants to make them their own section, I'm just kind of keeping them here in standby. And they will either replace the ones in the main Avengers shelf, or they will just be their own West Coast shelf, because that's my favorite Avengers team. So before we go to the MCU, we'll talk about Marvel's first cinematic universe, the X-Men universe from Fox. They're on their own shelf, just because that makes the most sense. I did swap out Charles Xavier's chair for the actual one from the Toy Biz, because that's more accurate to that Charles. You see we got Charles, Magneto, we've got Wolverine, Mystique, Domino, Deadpool, Cable, Negasonics on the main shelf because we don't have a comic one, and then Venom's there because I had room for him and he's tall. And here is the MCU shelf, which is brand new this year because I added this extra shelf to this room where we've got my Tiger and Bunny figure arts down there. We got my Digimon stuff up above, and right in the middle is the MCU display. So let's try to take a look at it. So from this side, of course, we got Ned and Peter from the Spider-Man Homecoming pack. Here is the No Way Home Spider-Man. We've got Strange and Wong and America Chavez there, plus the 2 Moon Knights. That's kind of a supernatural section. And then we've got over here, we got, of course, Ant-Man as Giant Man, Wasp, Luis. Those will probably get swapped out for the Quantum Mania figures as they get updated. So on the far back, you can see we got the Age of Ultron Hulkbuster, but more specifically, we got the Guardians of the Galaxy here. So we got the main core team. They're all going to get swapped out for the Guardians Volume 3 versions. I like the way those look. These have been good though. These have been good for a while. Panning down, we've got the 2 Marvels we have, which is Carol and Kamala. Hopefully, we'll get a Monica, and then we got some Avengers in the front, but more specifically, still here in the back. Of course, got the Smart Hulk from Endgame and She-Hulk. Got to keep the Hulks together. But then, of course, you don't want She-Hulk to be too far from Daredevil, so there's Daredevil and Jessica Jones. I don't like the Punisher that much, that's why he's not on the shelf, but start mixing in the Netflix guys since they seem to be popping back up in the MCU. So out front, of course, we have some core Avengers. Of course, we got the 2 Hawkeyes. We got Steve, Bucky, and Sam in their most recent appearances. The Iron Peoples, so we got, War Machine, Iron Man, and Rescue. And then back there, way back here, is a Black Widow, which is still the Winter Soldier one. I don't know why I haven't gotten a better one than that. Here we got Ragnarok, Thor, and Korg with Love and Thunder, Valkyrie, and Jane. Just because that's just the figures I have. I don't know. Running over here, we got Shang-Chi, Jia Ling, and Morris. And then for some reason, I don't know why Katie ended up all the way back there behind Wanda and Vision. Again, I kind of go for the most recent updates I have. Hard to tell just because everybody ends up being about the same height in the MCU stuff. Can we do it? Can we do it? See, you see half of Cersei's face? Cersei and Athena are the only two Eternals I got. So they're there. We've got, there's Ultron from What If. Behind him is Scourge. Gosh, I'm just going to pick up the camera. Okay, so that wasn't Scourge the Executioner back there. That's J. Jonah Jameson. Let's see if we can get the camera. Focus. All right, you can't focus. Because we've got the Molten Man Build-A-Figure. Mysterio's down there. Vulture, so that's the Spider-Man villain section. There's Grandmaster. We got Ego, Ghost, Hela, Thanos. Thanos is a figure art. U.S. agents down there. Maria Hill, Coulson, Nick Fury, Sharon. There's Scourge because he needs to be with Hela. And then we got the John Walker Captain America in the box, like the one they had in the show. Of course, we got Talos with Fury, with Ross, who leads into Wakanda, where we got, we got Io there, we got Okoye. Poor Okoye is getting washed out by the light. There's Okoye. Gosh, I do need to reorganize a little bit. Nakia, M'Baku, Killmonger, Shuri, T'Challa. Then we got Namor and Atuma. So we got kind of like that. Oh, there's Loki and Mobius hiding, as they should, as the TVA agents they are. And I think that's everybody. Is that everybody over here? Did I miss anybody? Did I not highlight anyone in my chaotic little MCU display? Anyways, there's my MCU display, guys. It's cool, isn't it? It's cool. Oh yeah, for getting technical, these are Marvel Legends, the 3 3/4 inch ones, the retro style. We got Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch. Ignore part of the Batwing. We got The Thing, Dark Phoenix, Storm, and Wolverine. So, Fantastic Four, favorite X-Men, Carol Danvers in a costume I like. Oh, and we have the Silver Surfer sitting next to Galactus, because I just think that's appropriate. Of this line, I'm planning to get Doctor Doom and Ghost Rider, but I do like them. I just don't collect all of them. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and leave a comment. Hit subscribe and the notification bell to keep up with future uploads, because there'll be more stuff on the channel. Also be sure to check me out Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where I go live on this YouTube channel and talk about toys and all kinds of fun stuff and the business of the industry. And also just randomly get sidetracked by fun comments in the chat, so it's always a good time. Also be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Soundout12. Check out my awesome graphic designer on Twitter at DarkClaw643, and check out Hero Club, hero-club.com for Marvel news and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.